Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Let's go to a man whose name is Max in Manhattan. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yes, Lionel, thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
When I'm hearing things concerning Iran and the need to attack Iran, it's in my mind, I'm thinking, well, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. But
I like that. Wait a minute, hold it. Let me stop you right there. I like that. Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. Doctor, do you think surgery is in order? Maybe, maybe not. Jerry, do you love me? Maybe, could, or maybe not. I like that. Life's like that. Maybe, maybe not. Imagine GPS. You might want to take Route 3. Maybe not. Max, I like your style.
How about Wesley Clark?
Wait a minute. Hang on a second. Ladies, this is fantastic. How about Wesley Clark? Yes. And let's talk about Elena Verdugo. Who? She played Consuelo in Marcus Welby? Yeah, sure. Okay. And the Einstein's twins paradox, Schrodinger's cat, and whether Stanley Fafara actually was Whitey on Leave It to Beaver. Okay, and Max, go ahead, sir.
Okay, I think it's a bit odd that Wesley Clark is naming the 7 countries that have to be taken down in 5 years, one of which it happens to be Iran.
Now, first, make reference to the list of where this came from. Fill in the blanks. Where did he get this list from, sir?
I am going to say one of the neocons. Would you allow me to say that?
Do you remember right after, at the time of 9/11, do you remember him?
Perhaps.
Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know.
Go ahead. 9/11, go ahead.
No, he was one famous for saying that when he was either in the Pentagon or either shortly after 9/11, that horrible event, he was summoned to the White House or to the Pentagon, and there was a list of a number of countries,
7,
that we would be invading.
Correct.
After, and so that's where that list came from.
Yes, and when he went outside, when he left the meeting, the press was hounding him. What did you speak about? What do you speak about? And then he mentioned we had to take down 7 countries in 5 years, and it was Syria, Libya, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, Sudan, and Somalia.
Okay.
And look, we took out we as if I was involved. I don't think so. Just before Trump gets into office, the CIA goes in and they take over Syria, and Bashar al-Assad goes to Russia. Before that, they had Libya that was taken over. I don't think he was Gaddafi doesn't seem to be a bad guy. He was trying to help his people, but when he mentioned the dinar, how when you have to go over to some sort of African currency, all of a sudden the excrement hit the fan.
Well, also, if you recall, hang on a second. In addition to this, there's something which is also important. There was a time when he was talking about hydro-imperialism, where he had suggested making Libya arable. He was going to pump about, I forget, $20 billion into making that by bringing water, by basically, remember, it was the Nubian sandstone aquifer, which was atop, or below, I should say, Libya. So there were a variety of factors. Max, here's a question for me. Make the case why attacking these countries is not a good idea.
Why attacking these countries is not a good idea?
Yeah.
Because I don't think they pose a real threat.
What does that have to do with whether it's a good idea for us to attack and control those countries?
No, I think when you say it's a good idea, I think that's just some sort of something just to throw out to win the argument.
No. What I'm saying is and I found myself doing it too, where we'll say, it's it's unfair. We're the aggressor. What's the purpose of the, that sort of thing. But what if we could say, this is classic neocon. This is PNAC verbatim, PNAC 101. But what if somebody were to say, you know what? We don't necessarily have to wait until someone attacks us, or they do not apparently like us or care for us. Why don't we just cut to the chase and maybe jump ahead, make some demands, and if they turn us down, and I'm serious about this, as an alternative, let's just attack and control whatever that means.
And just take them out.
Yeah.
Okay, but isn't that the what's his name, singer, Crystal? That's Crystal's agenda, right? From the neocons, right? Bill Crystal.
Well, not only Bill Crystal, but I would imagine that Irving Crystal. This just goes way back to the days of Strauss.
Irving, and before that, it was the Trotskyites, right?
Right. That's very good. They're lapsed Trotskyites. And so, but what I'm saying is the neocons never went anywhere. PNAC never went anywhere. Richard Pearl and Rumsfeld did, but he's dead. But what I'm saying is there are many people who say, I don't know why we have to necessarily wait or only, the tripwire is only activated when somebody attacks us. If we have this might and power and the ability to spread the good word of democracy and the American way, and certainly you have nothing against the American way, why not just start this now? Why do we have to wait for something? That in contract law, we have something called anticipatory repudiation, where I can claim a breach. If you're giving me signals that you're not going to go through with the contract, I don't have to wait for you to actually breach it. Now, what about people who say, look, Iran is no good. Iran exports terror. They have missiles trained at us. A missile could hit us. What are we waiting for? That's what people are saying. What say you, sir?
Do you think we should just? I'm gonna. Okay,
I'm not saying this is my idea.
Here. And what if we're looking much like Abraham did, where we look at the stars like the Chaldeans did, and we decide, well, if we have knowledge of the stars, that means we know when to reap and to sow, when to make peace, when to make war. So we look up to the heavens and we say, now is wartime. Now we have to attack Syria. Now Libya. Now Lebanon.
Right.
So that could be part of the formula. I think might be throwing a monkey wrench in there.
No, you're being, I think, artistically facetious. But the problem is that in the old days, and up till now, heretofore, military activity. By the way, we don't necessarily have to, regime change or whatever. Whatever the extent of this, like Vietnam was not to take Vietnam. It wasn't to control Vietnam. It was to supplant and stop the communist threat that threatened Indochina and whatever. So what exactly is your preferred tripwire, if not that? What are you waiting for, sir?
I don't know if I understand the question. Waiting for
us to attack a country, for us to exercise military control over, let's say, a despotic or potentially despotic regime.
Well, look, we could be. We're waiting for the right time, astronomically, to attack a country.
You're talking about astronomically.
Let me get this. Let me get this out.
Sure.
Because we are headed, we have to reach the year 6000, and this is the end times prophecy. We are in the year 5,700 and something, And it seems the closer we get to this 6,000 year or lunar year cycle, it seems that there is an end time prophecy. And I'm not the only one talking about it or mentioning it to you. I didn't just whip this out. I mean, there are lots of people who are writing about this. Who else is
writing about this, sir?
There's a rabbi by the name of Robert Wolf who's writing about this. There are, in fact, what's the former head of the one who took over Dominique Strauss-Kahn's position? What's her name? Kathleen, a French woman.
You've got me. I know. I see her, but I can't. Right.
She's kind of elegant in the way she expresses herself. So,
now, let me ask you something. Do you concur? This is kind of an eschatological view. The end of times is. Do you subscribe to this, sir?
I know it's not considered something intellectual to subscribe to this sort of idea.
I didn't ask that.
But I will say yes.
Okay. No, you know what? I appreciate that.
And I did not make this up. Obviously, we have this with Sabbatai Tzvi claiming to be the Messiah in the year 1666, and we see him coming. We also have this here, ironically enough, with the Mahdi arising from in Iran right now. He's supposed to be coming up, and we also have the idea of, or the planning of the Messiah coming up in the year 6000. And he's thinking that these are messianic times that we're coming to. So this is in the evangelical Christian, it's in the religious Jew, it's in the Muslim, at least in the Shia sect. So it's not like, I'm not just whipping this out of a hat. I think a lot of this is an undercurrent in our society, and there are very few people who are talking about it, but I think it happens to be a very strong undercurrent.
I think you're right. And by the way, please do not think that I'm in any way, I'm not laughing at this or deriding it, because a lot of times there's so much, when somebody says what you're saying and they indicate a lot of thinking that went into it, some people may disagree with it because they don't know enough about it. Let me ask you from this point of view, Max, if I were the president and I said, I want you to be my advisor.
Okay.
I want you to be this. What would you recommend for me? And I said, I want you to implement your plans, if you will. What would you do?
I would say let's have something like, I might be exaggerating things here. Let's have something like a peaceful war. If we have to have war.
Stop for a second. What was that? A peaceful war?
Peaceful war.
Okay.
So
how is that? I like that.
Okay, because an all-out war means you get out the nuclear weapons and we annihilate a whole population. But if you have a peaceful war, you take 1,000 Americans and you take 1,000 Iranians, and we go like ancient times. We just charge each other in a fist fight. This would bring about some sort of feeling and some sort of purging of war. But the most you would get out of this is a couple of broken noses, broken arms, and it would end right there.
Indeed.
So, if violence is going to come our way, let's think of a way to, make it peaceful. If you're going to have the kids in the hood want to pull out guns and put a cap in someone's ASS, why don't you make sure you have a wrestling program in all of these high schools?
Right.
That's extremely important. It's very easy to poo-poo something like that and say, "Oh my God, what do you want? You want violence here? Oh my God, you're a nut. Get out of here. You're a Trump lover." No. Anytime you're insulted or someone insults you, and it's grinding inside your mind, one of the first things you do is, boom, you make a fist, even though you're not aware of it. This is our violence.
I agree.
Residual. And Mars is usually overhead when something like this happens. Like it happened with Libya. It happened on March 21st, first day of spring. That's wartime.
Explain to me the role of the stars in our pugilism, so to speak.
In our pugilism. Good word for the pugilist.
Right. Or bellicosity, as it were.
For the bellicosity, yes. Things have always been ordained or aligned with the stars. Mm-hmm. And this is what said this guy by the name of Hermes Trismegistus, I think I'm pronouncing it properly. There was always the idea of we want to copy what is done above so is below, or what is below is so above. We want to align it. We want to make sure we're doing the correct thing. If we were going to reap, we're going to sow. You don't just mix those up, and you don't just throw seeds in the soil and plant whenever you want to. There's certain times, and so too for war. So when the traditional time of war has always been, not always, but oftentimes has been March 21st, because that's the beginning of springtime.
Why is that important?
Well, that's because the mockers, or the people in the know, the cognoscenti, are the ones who are saying, look, if we're going to have war and we're going to be successful, we have to do it at a certain time in accord with the stars. We can't just run out there and lop off people's head like ISIS might be doing. We also have the same thing when we launched. I think when we launched these the capsules, or I'm not using the right word, to Mars. Right. In 2003, I think it was. That was done in March also. And so the conquest of Libya, that was done on March 21st. That's not always the date. There are other dates there, like April 22nd is a big date. That's Lenin's birthday. And you have Earth Day also there. That's usually a violent day. When you go from the 19th to the 30th, that's Beltane Festival. That's the pagan witches festival. But there seems to be a lot of violence and sacrifice that happens there at that time, like with
Max. I've got to tell you something. I am absolutely positively so fascinated by first of all, with your proficiency with the subject, number one. Yeah. And how there is a historical precedent for it. Yeah. And the fact that if anybody listens to you for more than 5 seconds, they'll realize this isn't just somebody spouting random, as we say, bellicosity, but there might be a reason for this. There might be something which I think is a fascinating notion, and is something which, as you have indicated, many, many people think. Max, I thank you so much for your call, sir.
Thank you, Lionel.
Have a good day, sir. I mean that. Excellent, excellent indeed.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.